Are you ready for the biggest Sunday in sports? DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL and Super Bowl 57, has all the Super Bowl action you need. New customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, all customers can get in on the Super Bowl 57 excitement with DraftKings Happy Hour Super Boost. Check the DraftKings Sportsbook app every day between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern to see what prop bet will be boosted. I cannot wait for the big matchup between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl 57. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code SOTS. New customers can bet $5 on Super Bowl 57 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly, only at DraftKings Sportsbook with the code SOTS. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply, and if you or someone you know is dealing with a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be assessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537. Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. I want to say thank you to everybody that checked out the Therapy Couch podcast. We did that live as well. And now it's time for us to talk about your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. And on this edition, we're going to be talking about Dennis Allen. Everybody's favorite subject, right? Dennis Allen, the head coach of the New Orleans Saints, is adding to his staff, and he brought along two guys. One guy right now, and he's looking at another. Shouts out to everybody in the chat right now as you file in. I ask that you hit the like button. Likes have been down lately, man. So I'm asking everybody to hit that like button so we can put more eyes on the State of the Saints podcast, and I would really appreciate that. Let's go ahead and talk about the Saints coaching changes. You know, I did a show yesterday. Some people weren't too happy about the show. I normally don't do this, but I seen the comments. People were talking about me being a hypocrite, talking about what I said about Dennis Allen and the coaching staff and stuff like that. But I'm not going to get into that. I meant what I said. I said it before. The only people that's going to be upset about what I say is the people that said these things. And then also, I'm not getting into it with individuals that hide out in the chat after shows, right? Like, come on the show, say it here, right? Say it live where everybody can see what you're talking about, so I can actually toast you right in front of everybody. You know, so everybody in here can see me make a liar out of you and make you look absolutely ridiculous. But nothing's more ridiculous than individuals that interpret things the wrong way, right? That's just like the worst thing in the world. And it's also worse than people throwing a brick and hiding their hands. A lot of well-wishers out here, but behind closed doors, they ain't wishing your boy so well. But I stand by what I said. A lot of these Saints fans out here, if I'm not talking about you, I'm not talking about you. They're hypocrites. It's just that simple. You want to whine and complain that you want change, and then all of a sudden when change happens, it's not the type of change you want. Well, it don't work like that. If you want change, you can't be mad that they're changing, right? You can't be like, oh, I want him, but I don't want him. I want him, but I don't want him. No, you wanted change. That's all I heard. I didn't hear just Pete Carmichael needed to change. I heard the whole entire offensive staff needs to change. Okay? It's just that simple. That's what I've been hearing all week. That's what I've been hearing all year long, right? When the Saints were averaging 19 points a game. So cry in a pillow, cry in the mirror, cry to your mama, but don't cry to me. All right. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about the new head coach of the New Orleans Saints, Marcus Robinson. He will be the defensive back coach. And let's talk a little bit about some of his background here. Last year, he was the defensive backs coach of the Arizona Cardinals. He started in 2019 until 2022, of course. Now he's going to be with the Saints in 2023. Before that, he was a defensive backs coach with the Denver Broncos. And that was from 2017 to 2018. And in 2014, he was the assistant defensive backs coach before he became the defensive backs coach with the Oakland Raiders from 2015 to 2016. So this is another guy that Dennis Allen is familiar with, a guy that, it was a part of his coaching staff. So some people made the joke about the New Orleans Saints are looking like the old Oakland Raiders. But look, Dennis Allen is hiring the guys that he wants, guys that he's familiar with, guys he wants to give opportunities to. And we all know that the New Orleans Saints had issues with the secondary. Not the fact that those guys weren't talented, not the fact that those guys couldn't get the job done, but it was just the fact that they needed turnovers. And the Saints did not get many turnovers, as we all know, last season. And somebody needs to coach these guys when there's opportunities to get interceptions to come down with the football. So Marcus Robinson coming here with a pedigree of being a defensive backs coach. I think it will serve dividends to the New Orleans Saints, but we'll see. I think it's a good hire. This is what coaches do, man. When they coach one place, it may not pan out. They get another opportunity. They bring guys back, just like Sean Payton calling up some of the coaches in New Orleans. These are the guys that he hired. So, of course, some of those guys are going to go with the guy that got them the opportunity. And just like with Dennis Allen, these guys are coming to Dennis Allen coaching staff to help the New Orleans Saints get over this hump. Don't know if it's going to happen tonight. I stand by that. And I also stand by saying I'm not blaming anybody for being reluctant about Dennis Allen. All right. I just think that it's completely pointless to just talk about how trash this dude has been as a head coach. I just feel like it's pointless. This guy's not going anywhere. He's going to be the coach this year. So for us just sitting up here just complaining and talking about what the team not going to be, we just getting ourselves all worked up. And I can get it, right? I think I seen Pammy as she was filing in saying I ain't never been this nonchalant about the Saints. I get it. But look, all I'm saying is I love this team, just like you love this team. And I'm going to watch them. I don't like I'm pretty sure I'm not the only person that feels this way. My love for the Saints is not conditional, right? I'm upset. I'm ticked off. I'm mad, just like everybody else. But I'm still going to watch this team. And I'm still going to want them to be at their best, right? There was a time, and I will stand by this. There was a time like last year, I was like, I wanted the Saints to lose all their games so it would make Dennis Allen look obviously like not the right choice. But now that they retained him, what can you do? I don't want the team to be as bad as they were last year. You don't want them to be as bad as they were last year. So, hey, we just got to go with the flow and hope that this whole experience pan out. But also there's another coach that is on the radar of the New Orleans Saints and head coach Dennis Allen, and that is Clancy Barone. Clancy Barone, you probably see him if you seen the thumbnail. He's the coach to the right of Dennis Allen on the marquee. He is a tight ends coach. He was a tight ends coach from 2020 to 2021 with the Chicago Bears. He was also with the Minnesota Vikings as a co-offensive line coach. The Minnesota Vikings, he was a tight end coach back in 2017 as well. Look, the New Orleans Saints, they need some help at the tight end position. Look, Juwan Johnson did a really good job as a pass catcher, but he still needs to improve as a blocker. Adam Troutman, I don't know what happened with him. He came into the league being a better pass catcher than a blocker. Now he's a better blocker than pass catcher. I don't know what's going on. So hopefully the Saints can actually get with this guy. If they hire him, he can get with the tight ends on his team, and the Saints can get better production out of the tight ends. There is nothing better than a tight end that can take over a game. And we haven't seen it in a long time. We haven't seen it since Benjamin Watson, probably. I would say Jimmy Graham, if you want to talk about true dominance, but we haven't seen it in a very long time. And the Saints got talented tight ends. I think that Juwan Johnson can be a really good tight end. Juwan Johnson can be a Shannon Sharp type tight end. Not the biggest guy in the world, but possess kind of a middle of the pack wide receiver like speed. And if he can actually get his blocking down pack, he can be on a level where he never leaves the field. And I'm saying Juwan Johnson because he is a restricted free agent. And how that goes, if a team wants you to stay with him, they're going to keep you. Right? It's just as simple as that. It's rather the team wants to pick up your contract or they don't. And the Saints will have to be insane not to pick up Juwan Johnson's contract after the production that he had last season. And I don't think that's an anomaly either. I don't think it's an outlier. I don't think that it's anything like that. I think that Juwan Johnson showed flashes even going back to the 2021 season. Like, I don't know if people remember this, but Juwan Johnson was getting in the end zone almost every single week. Jameis Winston had that boy rolling, right? So Juwan Johnson is a really good red zone threat. He's a good middle of the field threat. And there are times where, some bad things happen. I think there was a ball that bounced in the air and he got intercepted before. But for the most part, Juwan Johnson does a really good job at his position. I still feel like the Saints should, sign another tight end or draft another tight end. Depends on the development of Lucas Kroll, who I was really high about. I think the Saints kind of hit him out on the practice squad. I would expect Lucas Kroll to, see some action this year. If he developed the way the Saints wanted him to develop, he has that mental makeup. He's kind of that, that crazy psycho, type guy, that you want your tight end to be, kind of like the Kelce's or kind of like the George Kittles, the guys that's kind of like the free spirits of Lucas Kroll is the same way. So the Saints, they need to figure something out at the tight end position, but they're going in a direction where they're just trying to add on to their staff. And hopefully these guys can get some more production out of these players because they're really going to have to. If the Saints are going to be a playoff team and be somewhere they haven't been in 2 seasons, it's going to take an all-hands-on-deck approach in order for them to get to this point. And, so we'll see. We'll see. I'm going to go ahead and read some of your comments. Not going to be a long show, of course, folks, but just want to hear what you all have to say. This is Eugene Sutherland, y'all. Had to sign in through wife's account. Oh, man. What's going on, Eugene? Thank you for being here, man. But you lost your password or something, man? Let's see. I don't like Dennis Allen, but he is a New Orleans Saint, so I have to put up with him because I'm a Saints fan. I think that's where we all fall. I think, look, man, come on. What hasn't been said on this podcast about Dennis Allen? I mean, I wrote some greatest hits about Dennis Allen. Yeah, y'all know why I feel. I think when people want me to get on here sometimes and just bash Dennis Allen all the time. Look, we got a show to do, man. I can't do the same old shtick. I think we all know where this dude stands. There was a comment that was said to me on Twitter saying that lately, I've been going at the fans more so than going at the team. Look, I go at who needs to be going after, right? Yesterday show was mostly because I seen a lot of people just complaining just to complain. And that's something that you ever just met somebody that just be complaining just to complain. You don't even want to see them or be around them because it's about to be some nonsense, some foolishness. You might be in a good mood. You might feel good, happy, sun shining, grass growing. And all of a sudden, here they come. Man, how you doing, man? What's going on? Man, nothing, bruh. Shoot, man. Bruh, if it ain't one thing, it's another. That's kind of like what some of these fans are. You can't make them happy. The Saints can sign one of the biggest free agents to change their fortunes in history, and they'll still be talking about, well, they ain't gonna do nothing with them. What can you do? But anyway, I think we all know where Dennis Allen stands. We all know that pretty much he on the hot seat. We all know pretty much, he is put up or shut up at time. And we know, if he doesn't get it done here, he's probably never going to get a head coaching job ever again in life. So we all know that. We understand the assignment. Why keep on beating a dead horse, if you will? Like, we all know where this dude's staying. Give Dennis Allen his people the way if the ship goes off course and sinks. There's no excuse. Wishing DA the best, but he's still a snake. Says Gunner. Look, man, I've been saying that for weeks. All right. Look, I feel like I was ahead of the curve. I ain't been watching other people's shows, but I've been ahead of the curve. All right. I've been saying this. I said, give Dennis Allen his team, his coaches. I said, because there was way too many excuses about injuries, talking about the quarterback position, Jameis not being his guy, Andy Dalton, all these excuses, right? So allow him to get the players he wants in-house, and you completely remove the hedge from around him. So if it fails, it's solely on him, because these are your guys. These are the guys that you brought in to try to help this franchise. And if it don't pan out, what other excuse or what leg do you have to stand on? You don't. You don't have one. So I've been saying this for I don't know how long, and I stand by that. That's one of the main reasons why I'm not going on this show constantly bashing the dude. Like, what's the point? Like, we all know what's up. And it looked like the Saints are giving him that opportunity. Saints are just going down a boring path with Dalton. I would rather them die trying than go out like this. Joe Dog, I agree with what you're saying, because if you're bringing back Andy Dalton as a potential starter, like people saying, well, bring him back as a bridge. If you're bringing Andy Dalton back as a bridge, you already convince yourself that you can't do no better than what you did last season, because you are not about to tell me that you can't get better quarterback play from somebody else other than Andy Dalton. I don't care if he was with the team. I don't care if he would be a full year into the playbook. You can get better production out of another quarterback than you can with Andy Dalton. I'm sorry. Can Andy Dalton do some things as a quarterback? Yes. Is he the worst quarterback I ever seen in my entire life? No. But you can get better out of that position. And this is why the Saints are in a position that they are in right now. This is why. Because they're taking the easy approach. You can't do that. Like, you got to be aggressive. And sometimes it might not work out. But at least you tried. And you're not trying to do the same thing that got you in the same spot from last year. That's what, if you're doing that, then you pretty much conceded that this is going to be another year like last year. I have broken roughly around 17 TV remotes since the 80s behind the Saints. But guess what? I'm still going to watch my Saints. Look, the Saints have made a lot of people upset. I can remember being upset at that wild card game against Minnesota. I flipped my webcam, and luckily the blinds were closed. Like, because if I would have flicked with that kind of force and it would have hit that window, it would have cracked. I was upset, man. But I think a lot of people been there. Leslie, that's right. He's not our choice, but he is what we have. We have to back our team. Yep, that's the important thing. Showing love for the team. Hoping we capitalize in the draft and obtain Hendon Hooker as a safety valve for the future. Yeah, that's what I was saying on Twitter, man. I said that last night as well. I said that the Saints, if they were to get Derek Carr, that they should get Hendon Hooker too. And of course, I think it's a good idea. But, of course, I could say, man, I don't know. I can say I can wash all these cars for, for $10, and people like, what's the catch? Like, man, you ain't gonna like, I'm just using, I don't know, that's a pitiful example, but y'all get what I'm saying. Like, there's always gonna be somebody that's gonna have some backlash about that. And I mentioned this. I was like, Hendon Hooker, you can still draft him, because more than likely he'll probably be a second or third round pick. You get Derek Carr, who is about 31, 32 years old, right? So around the time he I'm assuming the Saints gonna give him a 3-year contract. I'm assuming they'll give him a 3-year contract. So around that time, he about 35 years old. People are talking about Hendon Hooker's age. He'll be 28 years old. You know, by the time he'll get opportunity to be a starter if things work out in New Orleans. Last time I checked, how old was Drew Brees when he came to New Orleans? I am not comparing Hendon Hooker to Drew Brees, but I'm just saying, right? The dude was like 28 years old. Now, people will probably say, well, he was playing in football games. Yes, that is true, but Drew Brees wasn't the Drew Brees that we've seen today. Drew Brees wasn't throwing for 4,000 yards when he was in San Diego, right? Drew Brees became this cult. He had this cult-like following and became this polarizing figure in New Orleans when he came to New Orleans. So all I'm saying is him having that experience, he's already raw. He's not where he needs to be just yet. By that time, he'll have been acclimated and he'll be in the system. And around that time, you know, Derek Carr will be like 35 years old. You know, you've been made a commitment to him. Who knows where he'll be at that time? And now you'll have yourself a young quarterback that you can have as your quarterback for the next, 8, 9, 10 years, right? Because we know that the rules are laxed. It's not like guys are getting hurt like they once did. They always protecting the quarterback. So why not have a guy like that on your team? And not to mention, have we not been through a lot of hardships at the quarterback position over the last, 5 years, right? Where we have not had a quarterback to finish the entire season, a starting quarterback to finish the entire season. That includes Drew Brees. Over the last, 5 seasons, if I'm not mistaken, 2019, 19, 20, 21, 22, so 4 years, right? Going into the 5th year. So for 4 years, we've not had the starting quarterback that began the season, play an entire season. So it's always just been injuries. And that's what's been keeping the Saints behind the 8 ball. Because when Drew Brees got hurt, they brought in Trevor Siemian one time. Trevor Siemian was losing games. It was just. Then you had when Jameis Winston got hurt. No, Jameis Winston got hurt. Trevor Siemian came in, was losing games. Then, the Saints, was pretty much up and down. And, it was quarterback by committee. So why not get yourself a guy who can learn your system? He can be a backup in case something happened to Derek Carr, and you're not paying a guy $12, $13, $14 million to ride the bench. And that's another thing people aren't looking at. People are talking about, you got a backup quarterback on the bench. You got him on the bench. What you going to do with that? Why you just going to have him on the bench? That's just a waste of money. Man, do you understand how much a decent backup quarterback is making? Do y'all not understand that Chase Daniel was making almost $20 million as a backup? With the Chargers? Like, are you kidding me? Like, even if Hendon Hooker was to be the backup, he's not going to be getting paid almost $20 million to sit there. At best, he'll probably make about $4, $5 million. So that money that you spent, you can be spending on that solid backup quarterback that's going to cost you like 14, 15 million. You can go out here and get something else that you actually need. So I'm just saying, once upon a time, for all the young viewers out there, they used to have the starting quarterback, and then they had a quarterback that would be waiting in the wings. And I ain't talking about just, you're going to start next year. Sometimes them dudes was on the bench like 2-3 years, right? And then by the time the other guy gets old enough, here, the other guy leaves, the older guy leaves, and the young guy is ready to play. So, I don't know. Getting Hendon Hooker in the draft after signing Carr would be a smart choice. But this is Mickey we're talking about. Dana, fact, draft Hendon Hooker out of Tennessee. Kid is super intelligent and makes all the throws. Only thing that scouts are concerning, he didn't play in a pro-style offense. Well, that's the reason. I'm just saying, like, you can develop him. And around the time, Derek Carr gets up there in age, he'll be ready. Dennis Allen wants to bring in his guy, Derek Carr, huh? They still should go after Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson will be gone by the time the Saints pick. Drew was 25. Thank you, Gunham. I appreciate that. He was 25. When I said that, when I said that, I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, I don't think he was 20. He wasn't 27. He was 25. You're right. Do you think Michael Thomas is trying to campaign to stay? I think that Michael Thomas. I think Michael Thomas wants to stay in New Orleans. I think, but at the same time, Michael Thomas wants somebody to throw him the football he can trust. Because Michael Thomas was on a warpath before all these injuries occurred. So I think that, well, look, you've been injured over the last couple of years. So why would you want to negotiate a contract at this point? Like you look, you didn't wine and dine a caviar and all that kind of stuff for years, right? You know, because you'd already signed this big time deal. I think that if you have to re-sign or like a prove it deal just to stay, and maybe we can come back to the table. I think you should be up for that. And I think he wants to stay. I think he wants to stay, man. But I think he wants to go to a place where he can thrive and somebody throwing the football. You can't blame Drew at the end of his career. He put his body on the line. Yeah. I mean, I don't blame him. Like, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying, you know, not at all, right? That's not what I'm saying at all. All I'm saying is they've had injury issues over the last couple of years, right? And that includes Drew Brees, you know? So you want to have somebody that's solid out there that's going to sustain the level of success at least until your starter comes back. And if he can't, you can keep the ship afloat. Hendon Hooker is 25, TJ. Yeah, I know he'll be 25, but like I said, in 3 years, he'll be 28. I think he just turned 25. I think he turned 25 in January. DC gives us the best chance to win now. Hate to see him go, but it's time for a change. Yeah, I think that the Raiders need a break. I think Derek Carr needs a break, and sometimes it might, it may work out for both parties. TJ, do you think Derek Carr is coming out the facility with a contract? No, I don't. I don't think he's coming out with a contract because that wouldn't be smart on his part, right? I think maybe 3 days, if I'm not mistaken, 3 days after the Super Bowl, if he's still on the Raiders' books, then he gets $40 million. So I ain't signing nothing, okay? I ain't signing a doggone thing. Run me my money, run me my check. Rodgers and McNair come to mind when I think of quarterbacks. Rodgers and McNair. What are we talking about? Talking about arm talent? Facebook user, I think Richardson needs to play in college at least another year. Somebody going to sign him early, because of his arm talent and his freakish athletic ability. I wouldn't be mad if the Saints brought in Carr and drafted a rookie quarterback like Hooker. I wouldn't either. I'm not mad at the old Derek Carr thing. He better than anything that you're going to put out there on the field. Seriously. The guy can play the game of football. I ain't going to hate on him for that. Steve Young sat behind Joe Montana for years. Yep, sat behind him for a long time. I told y'all on here that Drew needed to take a back seat. I ain't think Drew needed to take no back seat. I mean, based on the quarterback play that we've seen over the last couple of years, I think we can put that whole Drew taking a back seat thing to rest. Like, there's not a Saints fan out there right now. You lied to yourself. Would say that they would take any of the last quarterbacks that has started for the New Orleans Saints over Drew Brees, even with diminished arm strength. I wouldn't. I mean, I still look. Drew Brees can throw them 10-yard passes all day and night. At least I know they're gonna be accurate, on point, and he's gonna get that ball down the field, right? So the problem is the Saints didn't have a really good succession plan. They didn't do their due diligence. And they just kind of just took Drew Brees for granted all them years, and they just took all that good play, and they didn't – I don't know if they didn't want to bring somebody in to try to compete with them. They didn't want to have that tough conversation with them. Like, not like some teams, they know that they have to plan for the future, kind of like with Tom Brady and Jimmy Garoppolo, right? They brought in Jimmy Garoppolo. Bill Belichick signed Jimmy G. And it made Tom Brady feel uncomfortable. So I'm wondering, like, did they do that to not make Drew feel uncomfortable? Because we all know that the Saints front office, they do go the extra mile to try to like cater to some of these guys, like unlike some of these other teams. So I don't know. But I think it was a bad idea. I think even if you felt like Drew had something left, I think you still should have tried to find somebody that could have been his successor. And maybe we wouldn't even have some of the hardships that we had. Because if you would have found yourself a decent quarterback, some of the games that the Saints end up losing based on mediocre quarterback play, they probably could have rose above it if they found the right guy. Michael Thomas availability is a must. We've been saying that for the last couple of years, man. Seriously. I feel bad for Michael Thomas, but if you can't play, man, then nobody ain't going to be spending no money on you. AFR said the Saints signing Derek Carr would be the worst move in Saints history. No, let's put that in context. I seen that, man. Shouts out to Matt Moscona. I think I have a relatively decent relationship with Matt Moscona. Let's put this thing into context. What he was saying was, why would the Saints go out here and trade for a guy when the Raiders' back is against the wall? For example, like you sign a guy who has a $40 million price on his head when you could easily release him, get him for much cheaper than what that contract entails, is what he's saying. So why would you want to get a guy for $40 million, when you can probably get him for what, $20 million? Like, that wouldn't make any sense once you reach a deal with him. So yeah, that wouldn't be very, very smart. And honestly, that would be moronic on Derek Carr's behalf as well. Like, it's your money. So if they don't find a suitor, they can release you, but you still about to get a good percentage of that bread, and you can sign with whoever you want. So even if he wants to sign with the New Orleans Saints, at least he gonna get some extra money from the Raiders. But if they trade him, he ain't getting nothing, because the team can get your contractual rights, but then they can kind of revise your contract or whatever, and I think he understands that because he has a no trade clause. Now, so he already know what the team most likely gonna do. So the best thing for them to do is wait. That wouldn't be a smart decision. That wouldn't be a smart decision at all. If Carr becomes a free agent, we could get into a bidding war with other teams. Trade may be better. Well, if you can get into a bidding war and you don't get them, you just don't get them, right? Because at the end of the day, you got to make a commitment. And I'd rather want somebody that wants to be here than a guy that that's obligated to be here. So if you don't get them, you just don't get them. I mean, sorry, I like Derek Carr, but I don't feel like Derek Carr is like the type of quarterback that I'll be losing sleep over if we ain't get him. I feel like you can find another quarterback that can give you production like Derek Carr would give you. Not to demean him or disrespect him or anything like that, but they got some quarterbacks that can ball out that the Saints can use and win games with. Drew was still making a playoff with it with all his ribs broke. What did Dalton do? Collect the check. I will take a weak arm Drew right now over these dudes we done had the last 2 years. Dip and dunk. I don't care. He was dipping and dunking the 13 wins. He was dipping and dunking the Saints to the playoffs. I'm telling you, man, we can talk about that. Look, we can talk about all them amazing deep passes down the field, overthrown, interception. Look, I don't care. At this point, I'm sorry. There's you telling me that you wouldn't take Drew Brees and his production over what you seen from Andy Dalton. Some of you for what you seen from Jameis, what you seen from Trevor Siemian, what you seen from Taysom. Man, come on. I know Drew Brees didn't have the biggest arm in the world towards the end of his career, and he couldn't really get the ball down the field or push it, but I'd rather have him than some of these other quarterbacks. Bobby Bever said Carr would be no better than Andy Dalton. Now, I heard him say that. I think he's wrong. I think they have a plan in place in principle for when he's released. I hope so. They better. The worst move in Saints history is always going to be trading away the whole draft for to the Redskins. I agree with that. That was pretty bad for Ricky Williams. If Bobby Bear thinks Andy Dalton and Carr are the same, he rode the short bus respectfully. I said this yesterday on yesterday's episode. I think that the reason why Bobby Bear goes so hard for Andy Dalton is because Andy Dalton reminds him of himself. I can see it. And saying that he's bad, that's admitting that you bad. All I remember from Spiller was that wheel route for a touchdown that beat Dallas in overtime. Yep, I remember that. And that's all he did, too. That's all he did. All CJ Spiller had was straight line speed. That boy had no moves. None. If he couldn't beat you to the edge, you ain't winning nothing. Now, he ain't doing nothing. If he can't beat you to that sideline, he's like how Reggie Bush was when he first got into the league, how he always just wanted to bounce everything outside. And he found out them linebackers just as fast as you were. And he learned, like, in order for him to be productive, he was going to have to run up the middle. And he started to get a little bit better. If we can't wait a week for Carr, we some straight busters. Yeah. I mean, you can't be acting too desperate. Right, bro. I was hoping he would have been a quarterback too and trade for a good quarterback when some good quarterback wanted to come here, but Breeze didn't take a back seat. I said if he keeps this up, we will have issues. Yeah, they should have drafted a guy. Like now you in this position because you didn't. What are you willing to give the Raiders for Derek Carr, a 3rd round pick? TJ, everybody keep bringing up the game Carr played against us. Tell them DA drafted Carr. He knows his weaknesses. I don't think it's just about his weaknesses. It's about schemes. They ain't just playing one guy, right? They have to neutralize. I mean, you got to think about this. Devontae Adams was out there. I mean, how many catches he had? I mean, you had Hunter Renfrow out there. How many catches he had? If I'm not mistaken, I think Josh Jacobs played in that game. What did he do? They didn't do nothing, right? And so it wasn't just Derek Carr. And you can talk about that, but look, everybody, like, if that's the case, why would we want Drew Brees for the last, 10 years? I mean, he winning a bunch of regular season games, but he choking in the playoffs, right? If we want to play that game, is that an indication that Drew Brees is a terrible quarterback? No, it's not. All I'm saying is when people have a problem with something, they always trying to bring up stuff, to try to validate their points. I had a guy today. I had a stat up, and I was talking about how Derek Carr, can probably fix the Saints quarterback injury issues, right? Because Derek Carr has only missed 3 games in his 9-year career. 3 games. And all of a sudden, a guy posts an article from 2016, to say that Derek Carr missed a playoff game. Derek Carr played in the playoffs after that. But did he bring it up? No. But it just, oh man, look, well, he didn't miss games. Look how important this game was. Look, every game is important. There were games where guys are going to miss where playoff implications on the line, division titles on the line. All games are important. I mean, don't believe me? How many times do we go back to the end of the season when the season is over with and the Saints miss the playoffs? We say, man, if we would have beat the Giants, man, if we would have beat the Bucks that time, man. So every game is important. So I don't get it. Like bringing up a guy's shortcomings man, come on. And then, like I said, that still don't defeat the fact that he ain't missed many games. He only missed 3 games in 9 years. That's pretty impressive at the quarterback position where everybody gunning for you to try to knock you out cold. But I'm like, you bring it man, people gonna find your shortcomings. They're gonna find your shortcomings. They're gonna find a bad game. They're gonna find a bad pass. They're gonna find a bad run. They're going to find something to try to validate their point to say that this guy ain't no good. Like, even the best wide receivers don't miss passes. The best quarterback don't overthrow a guy. Like, everybody make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. And I don't think that's an indicator of, what's to come. Like, that's like somebody telling me, okay, let's just say Drew Brees was still playing, and let's just say he left the Saints and went to, I don't know, the Eagles or something. And he was like, the Eagles signed Drew Brees, and they be like, man, Drew Brees, he's pretty good. Yeah, but I remember he threw them 5 interceptions on the Thursday night versus the Falcons. What about that? What about all them touchdowns? What about them 5 touchdown games he threw? Like, so it's crazy, like how people mind frame work and how they just want to find something wrong. It's amazing. I was wondering why Bobby was always pulling for Andy Dalton. That makes perfect sense. What you just said, TJ. Man, go back and watch Bobby A. Bell and tell me he don't remind you of Andy Dalton. About to cut this zucchini and squash with some onion, garlic, and ginger. Man, that man up here, there was some ratatouille. And some ratatouille type stuff going on over there. If you believe Carr is the guy, go get him. If not, why not even bother? Well, look, I'm not in the business of guys just keeping the ship afloat, okay? Can he help you get to where you need to go? Even though, it's kind of far-fetched, it's kind of wishful thinking that you would think that the Saints, would make it to a certain level, based on what the team they have right now. But if you don't feel like that guy has that capability, I feel like you shouldn't be wasting your time, to be honest. Only one of them picks we traded to the Redskins panned out for them, I believe, LeVar Arrington. And we turned around to get Deuce. Now they're the Admirals. That was some bad picking. That was some bad picking going on out there in Washington. Poor franchise. They about to be sold, man. I think in the next couple of days, if I ain't mistaken. I don't know if Jeff Bezos, I think he had a bid for him. So, man, Jeff Bezos may own the Washington Commanders. I think we should get quarterback in the draft and move forward. Me too. I'm always big on drafting your own guy. But DA, too much at stake for DA. I think he'd rather go with a short thing than to trust a young quarterback. A third-round pick for Carr is a steal for the Raiders when they are expecting nothing. Well, the Raiders are, the Raiders looking real desperate right now. I think people know the owner pockets. They know, where the Raiders stand at. And, I think that, they just wish they can get anything. They just don't want to have to pay that $40 million. Drafting a quarterback doesn't guarantee he will pan out good. I'm not mad at the Carr addition if he comes. Our offense alone lost us about 4 games last year. Yeah, it don't guarantee you that you're going to find success, but that's any player, right? You taking a gamble when you go into the NFL draft. So it's not a guarantee that the guy's going to work out, but I'm not mad at a team if they did their due diligence drafting a guy. If it don't pan out, it just don't pan out. That's cool on Derek Carr, but after I see what I saw on Caleb Williams, I want the Saints 2023 to crash bad. Don't judge me. Well, I don't think it's going to be that bad. He going somewhere else, and I don't think it's going to be the Saints. I want DA going, but I want the Saints to win too. Can't have both. Well, you can. If the Saints win, but they don't win too many games, I'm pretty sure they're going to be looking at him funny, and he might end up having to let him go. That's the hard part. We can't have it all. I can't root for us to lose. It's not in my black and gold DNA. Carr would make me back curious to watch next season, though. I need something new. I think we all do. I'm going to read a few more questions, then we're going to go ahead and get up out of here, folks. It says, TJ, if you had a preference of a veteran quarterback, who would you want? A preference of a veteran quarterback. If they was available, I think everybody would want Lamar Jackson, if he was available. Although Patrick Mahomes was available, not a real big fan of Aaron Rodgers like that. I think he a quitter, to be honest with you. I think when things get hard, somebody hit him a couple of times, then all of a sudden he become disinterested, start pouting on the field. So I'm not a real big fan of Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback. But, Mahomes, Josh Allen, if they was available, I definitely would want it. But looking at this free agent class they got right now of quarterbacks, I'm good, man. I'm good right now. All I want from the Commanders is for Snyder to release those emails he has. Can you imagine the dirt? I can only imagine. I mean, all the things that's going on around there. My goodness. If we pick up Derek Carr, be worst trades ever, a free agent signing, still just a younger AD, a younger Andy Dalton. Everybody's saying that. I don't think I see that, to be honest. A coach who never won isn't a coach. I have confidence in. Until proven different, DA has no history with any quarterback again. Why some believe he's a guru, my hope is for Harbaugh in 2024. I've seen enough. Who think that Dennis Allen is a guru? Is what I want to know. A guru, a defensive guru. I give him that. Like he can coach the heck out some defense. Like we got to give him props on that. But guru for what? Like definitely not no offensive player. TJ, what's your opinion on the upcoming draft considering DA draft history? Man, let me go back. Let me look at I gotta look at Dennis Allen's. Let's see. When did Dennis Allen go to let's see. Let me look him up. Let's look him up real quick. I'm typing right now. I'm gonna try to see. Okay, so Dennis Allen became the head coach of the Raiders in 2012. Okay, so let's look at the 2012 NFL draft. Let's see what he did. Okay, I'm pulling it up right now. I'll try to put it on the screen in a minute. All right. Let's see where we going right here. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and share this so we can look at this this foolishness together. Let's see. Right here. All right, so and put it up on the screen so everybody can see it. All right, so here we go. All right, so let's look at the Raiders with the 2012 NFL draft. Y'all make sure y'all hit the like button in the process. Thank you, whoever just said that. Who said that? Leslie, thank you very much. 2012 NFL draft. Let's look at the Raiders. All right, the Raiders. Strolling. Did they have a first round draft pick? I passed them up. Let me make sure I go back. Somebody tell me if I seen the Raiders. I knew they weren't that good, so they should have been top 10 at least. Dallas Cowboys. Did they have a first round pick? Don't look like they had a first round pick. Let's see. So you got a job as a head coach for the first time and you ain't have a first round pick? Wow, that's weird. Did they have a second round pick? Am I strolling too far? Ain't no way. So they didn't have a first or a second round pick? Ain't no way. No way. I know these boys had a first or a second round pick. I know they did, man. Ain't no way. Let me see. I mean, I ain't got my glasses on, but it don't look like they had a first round pick. It don't look like they had a second round pick right now. Wow. And a third, wow. What? No, hey, I hate to say it, but ain't no wonder. No wonder they man, you go to a team for the first time. And they didn't it looked like they forfeited their third round pick too. I just saw that. So they didn't have a first, they didn't have a second. Their third round pick right here, it says selection forfeited in the 2011 supplemental draft. Wow. Okay. So Tony Bergstrom. I never even heard of this dude in the third round. Man, this is insane. Now, how you gonna win like this? Okay, so Bergstrom was your first pick, and then you got Miles Burris. Never heard of him. Never heard of him. Wow, this is insane. Jack Crawford. Man, this is sad stuff right here. So this man, this dude went to a team that didn't have a first or a second round pick in your first year as a head coach. Unbelievable. Unbelievable stuff right there. I'm going to look up the 2013 NFL draft and we'll stop at that, because I think, he ended up getting fired in 2014. I mean, he had another draft. I know he got Derek Carr in the second round. So we'll look at that one. This one right here, this is him 1 year into it. So let me go ahead and pull this back up. And then we'll just go ahead and go from there. That is crazy. That is crazy, man. These dudes didn't have that is insane. All right, so the 2013 NFL draft. Let's see. Strolling. I will hope. I hope that they okay. They got the 12th pick. Okay, DJ Hayden wasn't the worst pick in the world. Had some, wasn't a bad pick. Dude just had some injury history. That was a smart pick. I would have done it based on his collegiate career. All right, so we strolling. So you got DJ Hayden in the first round. Never heard of him, out of Florida State, offensive lineman. Pretty sure it wasn't a bad pick at the time because that was probably during the time you was probably playing with Jameis Winston there. Yeah, I think Jameis was there. Okay. C.O. Moore, never heard of him. Man, them boy got some trash on there. These boy got some garbage. Tyler Wilson. Enough said. I'm pretty sure if you watch SEC football, you know who he is. This is bad, folks. This is bad. This is terrible. This is the reason why you wondering why he got fired. This is Nick Kasa. Like, what are we doing, man? What are we doing? What are we doing here? What are we doing? My goodness. My freaking goodness. Best probably pick they probably got was like Khalil Mack. I think they got Khalil Mack in the first round, and then they got Derek Carr in the second round, if I'm not mistaken, the 2014 draft. Let me make sure I verify that. That was his very last draft before they kicked him to the curb. But let me see. Let me make sure that I'm right. Let me make sure I'm right on this. All right. So the first round, the Raiders, they got Khalil Mack, right, in 2014. This was his last draft because he didn't finish the season. So he got Khalil Mack in the first round. Then he got Derek Carr in the second round. Let me see, make sure they ain't have like multiple second round picks. Nope. And then they got Gabe Jackson in the third round, which wasn't bad. He was pretty decent. Wasn't the best, but pretty decent. Then you had Justin Ellis out of Louisiana Tech. I actually knew who this dude was during that time because he went to La Tech. But I mean, it wasn't a bad draft, you know what I'm saying, this last year, which is the crazy thing about it. But how you bro, you really wanted that job. Like, that should have made you like the sacrificial lamb right there. Like, you should have knew you was the lamb to the slaughter. When a team comes up to you, be like, okay, we ain't got a first round and we ain't got a second round pick, but we want you to be here. Like, dude, if this ain't like you talking about a bridge quarterback, that was a bridge coach right there. God dog, man. Ain't nowhere in the world I want a job. Like, you talking about set up for failure. My goodness. They did not do him any favors in Oakland. But Long story short, look, he's hiring his guys, he's hiring his coaches. We're going to see where this goes. I'm pretty sure some more coaches are going to come through. Clancy Barone isn't the coach just yet, but it's looking like all signs are leading to him actually being a part of the coaching staff. But we'll see, man. We'll see. But I'm more interested in what players are they going to bring to this team to make this team better, right? I mean, coaches are one thing, but can you capitalize and build on some of the players that you actually brought in that gave you production? And how are you going to keep some of the guys to maintain them that actually, played pretty well, like guys like Caden Ellis, right? Guys like Jawan Johnson, guys that were very beneficial to the game, the things that you did well. Are you going to be able to bring those guys back is the question. I don't know. We'll see. But this isn't over. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot more stories in regards to the New Orleans Saints this offseason. And quite honestly, as a content creator, folks, I got to be real with you. This is pretty good. Like, seriously, when the Saints was like successful, and I ain't got no problem with it. I would love to go back to shows like this, but when they were successful and the storylines were like kind of few and far between, you had to kind of find it. You had to kind of find like what's going on. It was like maybe one, maybe two positions. It was always the secondary, and it was always like the D-line. It was never quarterback, never really running back. Maybe a wide receiver number 2 over the last couple of years toward Drew Brees' career when it was about to wind down. But nevertheless, we'll see, man. We'll see. Good content, though. Good content. We'll see. We'll see where these coaches go. We'll figure out what's going to go down. The combine is in a couple of weeks. Super Bowl 57 is this weekend. We're going to have a episode of the Gumbo Pie Sports Podcast covering Super Bowl 57. I ask that you all hit the like button, like and subscribe to the State of the Saints podcast channel. Previous episodes available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM. And you can follow me on Twitter at TJAY Jones 8. Till next time, all I got to say is, who dat? Oh, yeah, and I just saw this. Yellow, I'm glad that you're doing okay, man. I'm glad your surgery was a success. I just saw that. So I just want to make sure that, I'll let you know, man. Appreciate you being here, man. And I wish you a quick healing, man. And, we here for you, you know what I'm saying, through your process. All right.